I believe it was 2008 that Roger Penske first tried to sign you to his team, but you essentially declined at the time because you were, driving for Junior Motorsports, and obviously they have the relationship with Hendrick, which is where you really thought and wanted to ride that next season for them in the Sprint Cup series. How devastating was it for you at that time when Rick Hendrick ends up re-signing Mark Martin?
Well, I got to go back through the timeline because in 2008, I'd agreed to drive for Rick Hendrick, and he had just signed on Mark Martin, and I was ready in the wings, so to speak, and I was ready, not just in essence of the sport. I was ready mentally for that opportunity. Obviously, it didn't play out. But about that same time where...
What was that like, though, when you found that out?
In that timeline, Roger had called me, unbeknownst to him, that I had those opportunities. He just respected what I had done at that point. And he called me and wanted to know what my situation was, essentially. And, I knew I was wanting to do the Hendrick opportunity and go for that. But it's Roger Penske. How can I say no to at least a chance to meet him? So I met him. I met him in a conference room 2 doors down in 2008. And I sat in that office and he talked to me, and I just wanted to hear him talk. I never met the guy. I just wanted to hear him talk. Didn't know what he had to say. I know what he meant, or I know what he means to the sport. I know what he meant to Detroit. He had just brought the Super Bowl to Detroit about a year and a half before that. It's a pretty big deal. So...
in Detroit being where you're from,
yep,
his office is not far from where you guys lived.
Exactly.
Right?
So, I talked. We just talked. At the end, he asked me the very simple question, are you interested? And I told him, I'm a loyal guy. I've already made another commitment. But I have a feeling I'll be back. And now, listening to that now, it sounds kind of cheesy, like I was the Terminator or some shit. But...
well, it's right because you're young at the time, right?
Yeah, I was 23 years old. I just turned 24. And I still have braces.
And here's this billionaire, very successful, race owner.
What were we saying about confidence?
Yeah, right.
If you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone else? 8 months later, Mark Martin wins Phoenix. This would have been late February, early March 2009. And I knew what that meant. I knew when he won what it meant.
No, really?
As soon as he won that race, I knew that I wasn't going to get the ride at Hendrick Motorsports in 2010. The one that, essentially we'd talked about and I'd been promised. I knew what it meant. I didn't want to believe it. So the next weekend, we go to Talladega, Alabama. And I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But I'm trying to put it in the background, so to speak. We run that race and I win. It's a big deal. You win your first Cup race. It's a really big deal, especially in your fifth start. And, all the accolades that come with it, the mental highs and, everything just being showered on you, and you just don't know how to deal really with any of it. But you're just living the moment and just giddy, giddy. And I got a call from Rick. I knew what the call was. I just didn't want to believe it. All I could think in my mind is, I just won this race. There's no way anyone else but me can drive that car next year. But like I said before, racing's much more complicated than that. As soon as Mark had won Phoenix, he walked up to Mr. Hendrick and told him he wanted to drive the car for the next year or two, which essentially meant there was no spot for me.
Any sense of betrayal since you were essentially promised, as you said, that ride?
You know, I never really thought of it as betrayal, I guess. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. I was more heartbroken. More chippy. Maybe that's something that comes from a sense of betrayal, but that's a strong word. I would say it definitely added fuel to the fire of who I am and my desire to be the best.